Hello, turners, and welcome to my shop. When you're working on Christmas projects, a few turning operations keep coming back, making beads and shaping smooth curves. Today, I want to show you my tool called the peak fin, which I use to make small beads or much larger ones. I'll also go over a few tools I've modified and that I've already shown on my channel in the past. So let's get set up and take a look together. The peak fin originally comes from a profiled gouge that was cut in half and heavily modified. So this is the peak fin. And this was an attempt at making a bead cutting tool. The peak fin works really well. As for the bead tool, we're going to revisit it. I'll also go back to these small cutter inserts I've had for several years, which I'll show you. These inserts were originally used in hand tools to create decorative reliefs. I have several shapes, but what interests me most are the bead profiles. The peak fin is simply a sharply pointed tip with a fully rounded underside. In reality, it's a very fine scraper that lets you clean up or correct small curves, as you've seen in my videos. It's extremely easy to make. Now let's look at sharpening. Here is a 180 grit wheel. Notice that its side is flat. When you sharpen on the face, it creates a curve, but on the side, not at all. Since this is a scraper, I want the burr to be pushed outward, but I start by drawing a line with a marker. This is how I'm doing it. I sharpened it entirely freehand, and it works great. Because it's a scraper, the burr doesn't last very long. Most of the time, it's just a small corrective tool, and this is what it looks like. The bead tool, I ran it on the wheel earlier, but I haven't tested it yet. I'll mount a piece of wood and we'll see how it behaves, just to find out whether it's really an effective solution. The bead tool is meant to be used on hard, dry wood. On soft or green wood, it just won't work. I don't remember if it's supposed to be used with the groove facing up or down. I think groove down, because that gives a gentler negative rake. Here we're turning around 1,000 revolutions per minute. The idea is to ease it in slowly. And it doesn't cut at all. Not even a little. If I hold it like this, it's extremely aggressive. Let me slow down a bit. 500 revolutions per minute. Wow. It grabbed on me. Here, I don't even have a point. Okay. I'm going back to the wheel to sculpt a curve and create 2 points, and I'll come back when it's done. Sharpening done. I removed the burr with a small file. Let me try again. The groove rests on the tool rest. I could move my tool rest a bit closer. There we go. Well, I did not expect that. From what I've seen, bead tools rarely produce a perfect top. It's a scraper, and the line between cutting the fibers and tearing them out is very thin. But this is beyond what I expected. Still, it's very acceptable. I can just see that the depth isn't the same everywhere. Here it's shallower than over here. Now let me show you the little job I did using the inserts. In the past, I used a regular locking plier, which caused some vibration and gave mediocre results. This time, I used a wider clamp and tightened the inserts as close as possible. Look at this. When you look at the tool, you can clearly see one side is higher than the other. That's easy to fix on the wheel. And as someone once told me, I don't remember who, a few minutes of patience will give you years of peace. I'll fix that and come right back. Working on the wheel made the inside more triangular. With a 600 grit round file, I adjusted it a bit. It also creates an outside burr, and maybe that's why it worked so well earlier. Let's try it again. Around 500 to 600 revolutions per minute. Fresh sharpening. The groove resting on its hips. I make a gradual motion and tilt as I get closer so the center of the groove doesn't become too aggressive. For me, that's mission accomplished. Excellent. The peak fin, as you saw in action, cleans up between beads and corrects curves. That's its main purpose. There you go. It's an impressive little tool, very simple to make and very pleasant to use. This wasn't planned for the video, but I don't know if you remember my bead plane. It had gotten really small over time. I decided to create a 90-degree version and use it again for bead cutting. You can clean up with it. Alright, let's go sharpen it. I'll show you how I do it. I use my sharpening plate, 400, 600, and 1200, and sharpen freehand. I now do all my planes this way. 10 passes on each side. There. If there's a little something to fix, it happens. I fix it here. Let's get back on the lathe. The advantage of the bead plane is that you're much less likely to get a catch because the cutting edge stays aligned with the axis of the plane. Around 1,600 revolutions per minute.
Et là, avec la pointe, on commence.
And with the point, again, the final pass. A scraper, for me, is a curve correcting tool. This could be the final step, or you can keep going a bit. The idea is to start from the center, pivot to one side, then the other. With practice, in production work, it could be very interesting. At this stage, normally, I start sanding. And why not? Let's do it. I like to create a little corner. My little peak fin becomes very helpful to clean things up nicely. That's really not bad at all. Alright, turners, that's it for me this week. Thanks for watching all the way through. If any of this inspires you or helps you out, let me know. Always appreciate it. And I hope to see you again soon.